Hello, and welcome to another Emotions Expert. Today we're going to be talking about arrogance and ego. And I get quite a bit of correspondence from people about friends and family and people around them who are arrogant or egotistical. And it's very, very embarrassing. It's strangely enough, the people who are arrogant and egotistical don't realize they are, but everybody else around them does realize that they are arrogant and egotistical because they ramble on aimlessly about certain things in a way which is really not conducive to being friendly or nice or harmonizing or anything like that whatsoever. Your ego, we all have an ego to some extent because we have to understand who we are and we have to understand things around us. And we understand also there are differences in people, there's differences in myself between many of you listening and watching, and vice versa. And those differences are neither good nor bad, they're just different, we're all different people. And we also have within the whole aspect of that sort of arrogance as well, where it can be that if we don't talk about ourselves and what work we do or what we do when we go for an interview or tell other people about ourselves, then nobody else will. But if we talk too much about ourselves, we start to become slightly arrogant and dull and boring as well. And some people are naturally dull and boring and arrogant, and all they do is talk about themselves and who they are and what they want to do. And did you hear this? And did you hear that? And they'll ask you a question, but they won't wait for an answer because they don't really want to know. All they want to do is hear their own voice. And it's very off-putting because you feel like, okay, conversation over. I don't want to listen to that person anymore. There's nothing in this conversation for me. I don't necessarily want to talk like they do, but by the same token, I do want to say something which is of value to myself because I do respect myself. And that's important too, because you've got to respect yourself and not put up with people being arrogant or egotistical just to appease them, because you're not a sounding box. You're not a one-man audience or even part of a group of people just to sit and listen to someone ramble on aimlessly about themselves and what they think and what they do and what all about me, 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 me. There's a time and a place for all that. If you want to ask questions from somebody about them or what they do or aspects of their life, fine. But if someone just volunteers it for the sake of saying something to pass the time, then you don't need it. You need something which is going to involve yourself within in that conversation. There are plenty of people who are arrogant out there, and it's quite alarming because you hear them and you feel sort of in the pit of your stomach, you think, oh, that's awful. Oh, I wish there was a hole they would just jump in and never come out of ever again, because they always talk loudly as well. They talk quite loudly about what they want to do, and they expect everybody to listen to them and everybody to be sort of wowed by what they are saying and what they are doing and how they are doing it, and their opinions are the only ones, and they will find some kind of thing to sustain or substantiate their opinions, and because of this and therefore what I'm saying is the only solution. It's only, and of course it isn't, it's rubbish. When you have somebody who's arrogant, and it could be your parents, or I mentioned this, but it does happen that sometimes your parents can be arrogant, and a cultural thing as well, that the parents are always right, and your father or your mother, or particularly your father, is, oh, you've got to do this, oh, you must do that, oh, don't do that, oh, if you do that, you'll be in trouble. And all they can do is moan and groan, and what do they do at the end of the day? But nothing. They're nothing special other than your parents. As people, they've not achieved anything either. They may have done something of value in their life, but that's it then and there, not now. And so you've got to move on. And the same with your mother. You've got to be careful that you don't sort of support her by listening to her endless whinging. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know why you're doing this. Why are you going? You've got to do this. Oh, we worry too much. Or you don't care that we worry. If you worry about that, your children, that's up to you. Don't blame your children children. You're the one who is causing the worry and the negativity. You're the one who's the sort of putting the negativity all around everybody else because of your own selfishness and thoughtlessness and insincerity and cold-heartedness. So you've got to be careful that when somebody is arrogant and egotistical, they aren't being something which is trying to get the better of you. They would not being cold and thoughtless and insincere, which many of them are, because all they think about are themselves, which is fine. We've all got to think about ourselves, because if we don't, nobody else is. But at the same token, we've also got to understand that some people, all they do is think about themselves. It's me, 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 me. Oh, let's talk about you. What do you think about me? And it goes on like this ad infinitum. If you do find yourself in a situation where people are arrogant or egotistical, try and the best you can to get yourself out of that situation, out of the audience, out of the conversation. If you've got to make something up and say, oh, look at the time, I've got to go, I've got to be at a meeting, just to get out of it, then do so, because they're not worthy of any respect to these people. They're not worthy of anything whatsoever. They're doing it for their benefit, not for yours. And so get out of that situation, move on, make an excuse if you have to. I don't say making excuses or telling lies is a good thing, but in certain circumstances when people are not interested in you, except for the fact that you're an audience and you're a captive audience possibly, then do so. A lot of people about their past, if they've got you at a captive situation or sat next to you, they start telling you about their past, what they've been through, what went wrong, why they're like they are today. You don't need to know that. That's none of your business. And for people to keep on bringing the past up, it's a psychological defect on their side as well. They haven't moved on. They actually blaming the past for everything that's going wrong now. A lot of people do that. A lot of arrogant and egotistical people blame things on situations and the past and whatever. Of course, it's never, ever, ever their fault. Never, ever. And you shouldn't even think of that. It's never their fault. And of course, they blame other people because they're making it all up. They're making it to fit because they haven't got the guts or they aren't man enough to actually face the facts that they've made a mistake or things aren't going as well as they should do. So when you meet people who are arrogant or egotistical, whatever you want to do, don't play ball with them. Move on, do whatever you have to do to get to a place which is a better environment for yourself. Even if it's just going home, do so, because you'll feel far more comfortable, far more restful, and far more satisfied. And you don't need any hassle from them.